students. Today we will discuss about packaging of DNA helix, and these are the topics that we are going to discuss in our today's class. All of you know that DNA is a long polymer made up of two polynucleotide strands that are held together by hydrogen bonds. Okay, and it is also known to you that DNA remains inside the cell. Inside the cell, in case of eukaryotic cell, basically inside the nucleus, and a little amount of DNA is also present in mitochondria and chloroplast, you know this. And in prokaryotic cell, DNA remains just inside the cell. So the long polymer DNA remains inside the cell. Okay, and cells are microscopic, isn't it? Cells are microscopic. They are not visible with naked eyes, right? In a typical mammalian cell, the length of DNA helix is almost 2.2 meter. Remember this thing. The length of DNA helix in a typical mammalian cell is almost 2.2 meter. Okay, which is far greater than the dimension of a typical nucleus. Do you get it? This length, 2.2 meter length, this length is far greater than the dimension of a nucleus. Now question is there, how does such a long polymer DNA remain inside the microscopic cell or highly microscopic nucleus? Do you get it? How does such a long polymer DNA can remain inside the microscopic cell? Okay. Now see, inside the cell, DNA remains coiled. DNA remains coiled inside the cell, and this coiling of DNA helix minimizes its size and reduces its length. Thus, the long polymer DNA can remain inside the microscopic cell or highly microscopic nucleus. So, this coiling property of DNA to remain inside the microscopic cell, this property is called packaging of DNA. This coiling property of DNA is called packaging. Okay, so let's see how DNA is packaged in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. In prokaryotes like E. coli, you heard this name, E. coli, full form Escherichia coli. It is a bacterium. It is a bacterium widely used in laboratory work. Okay. So this in prokaryotes, you know that prokaryotes don't have definite nucleus. Though they do not possess defined nucleus, their DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. Do you get it? Though they do not have defined nucleus, their DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. Their DNA is not scattered throughout the cell in case of prokaryotes. Instead, their DNA is held with some proteins. At the center of the cell. Remember, the charge of DNA is negative. DNA is negatively charged. So in prokaryotic cell, the negatively charged DNA is held with some positively charged proteins at the center of the cell. And this region where DNA is held with the protein in prokaryotic cell, this region is called nucleoid. So what is nucleoid? In prokaryotic cell, the negatively charged DNA is held with some positively charged proteins at the center of the cell, and this region is called nucleoid. So prokaryotes possess nucleoid instead of our nucleus. Clear? So let's see in case of eukaryotes. See, in eukaryotes, organization is much more complex than prokaryotic cell. In eukaryotic cell, the negatively charged DNA is held with a set of, say, I said set, means not a single protein, a set of basic protein. These are also positively charged basic protein called histone. In eukaryotes, the negatively charged DNA is held with a set of positively charged basic protein unit called histones. And this unit of histones, this set of histone is composed of 8 molecules of histone. That's why it is called, this unit is called histone octamer. Histone octamer. Okay. The set of proteins to which DNA is held in eukaryotic cell, it is composed of 8 molecules of histone proteins. That's why this unit is called histone octamer. And actually 4 types of histone proteins are involved. These are H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. These 4 types of histone molecules are involved in this histone octamer. 2 from each types, so total 8 molecules. Okay, 2 from each type of histone molecule. So a total 8 histone molecules are involved in this histone octamer. So in eukaryotic cell, the negatively charged DNA is held with a positively charged basic protein unit called histone octamer. Okay, now the charge of histone is positive, isn't it? So let's see how does a protein acquire its charge. See, a protein acquires its charge depending upon the abundance of amino acids with side chain. Okay, I repeat the sentence. A protein acquires its charge depending upon the abundance of amino acids with their side chains. For example, the charge of histone is positive and this protein is rich in, histone protein is rich in 2 basic amino acids. Remember this thing, lysines and arginines. These are the 2 basic amino acids that are abundantly present in histone protein. So both these amino acids carry positive charges in their side chains. Clear? These 2 amino acids are abundantly present in histone proteins and both of these amino acids carry positive charges in their side chains. That's why the charge of histone is also positive. Clear? Thus a protein acquires its charge based on the abundance of amino acids that it carries with their side chains. Okay, a very short question usually comes in questions. It is like that: name the amino acids that are abundantly present in histone protein. Then answer will be lysine and arginine. Clear? Okay. So in eukaryotic cell, DNA is held with histone octamer. What is histone octamer? It is a set of positively charged basic protein unit made up of 8 molecules of histone protein. So let's draw the structure of histone octamer. Okay, this one H1 histone protein. This ribbon length structure is DNA. Okay, this one histone octamer. Then this whole globe is the core of histone molecule. Okay, so in eukaryotic nucleus, the negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged histone octamer. This is histone octamer. Actually, a total of 9 histone molecules are involved in the packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cell. This is another histone protein. It is called histone 1, to which both the terminal ends of the DNA helix are attached. Okay, so a total of this 4 molecule, it is composed of 8 molecules of histone, and this one another histone molecule. So a total of 9 histone molecules are involved in the packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cell. Now, when in eukaryotic nucleus, the negatively charged DNA wrapped around a positively charged histone octamer, it forms a structure, and this whole structure is called nucleosome. This is nucleosome. So what is nucleosome? In eukaryotic nucleus, the negatively charged DNA is wrapped around the positively charged basic protein unit histone octamer to form a structure which is known as nucleosome. A typical nucleosome contains 200 BP length of DNA helix. BP means base pair. Do you know base pair? See, you found that in DNA helix, in the 2 strands of DNA, purine base of one strand always pairs with pyrimidine base of the complementary strand, isn't it? Purine of one always pairs with pyrimidine of the other strand, or vice versa. Pyrimidine of one strand pairs with purine of the complementary strand, like that. C pairs with C. So this is first pair, one pair, second pair, third pair, fourth pair, like that. The DNA helix having 200 BP length can wrap around a nucleosome. Clear? In exam, question usually comes, define nucleosome. Define nucleosome. Then you have to write the definition, what is nucleosome, and also you have to draw this figure. Clear? See, in the nucleus, the nucleosome forms repeating unit. The nucleosomes constitute repeating unit inside the nucleus to form a thread-like stain structure. Stain means when we use specific dye, then this structure will take color. It will take stain. So that's why it is called stain structure. So in eukaryotic nucleus, the nucleosomes form repeating unit to form a thread-like stain structure, and this thread-like stain structure is called chromatin. I repeat the sentence. Nucleosomes constitute the repeating unit inside the nucleus to form a thread-like stain structure which is known as chromatin. When this chromatin is observed under electron microscope, then these nucleosomes in chromatin are seen as beads on string structure. Beads on string structure. If I ask you what do you mean by beads on string structure of chromatin, then you have to answer, in eukaryotic cell, the nucleosomes constitute repeating unit to form a thread-like stain structure which is known as chromatin. Okay, the nucleosomes in chromatin are seen as beads on string structure when observed under electron microscope. Clear? Now this beads on string structure of chromatin is packaged. This structure is now packaged and become a little condensed, isn't it? It is packaged, then it is called as, now it is called as chromatin fiber. Do you get it? When the beads on string structure of chromatin is packaged and become a little condensed, then it is called chromatin fiber. These chromatin fibers are further coiled. They are further coiled and become more condensed. They are further coiled and become more condensed, isn't it? At which stage? At metaphase stage of cell division. Metaphase. Okay, you studied about cell division in your 11th standard. Then you found this name metaphase stage. You know this. At metaphase stage of cell division, these chromatin fibers are further coiled and they become more condensed, and then it is called chromosome. Chromosome. Okay. So at metaphase stage of cell division, the chromatin fibers are further coiled and they become more condensed to form chromosome. Clear? So if I ask you when does chromosome appear, you have to answer at metaphase stage of cell division chromosome appears. Okay, chromosome appears at metaphase stage of cell division. Now it is clear to you that chromosome is made up of only DNA and histone protein, isn't it? DNA and histone first constitute nucleosome, then nucleosome constitute repeating unit to form chromatin. When chromatin is packaged and become little condensed, then it is called chromatin fiber. And at the metaphase, during the metaphase stage of cell division, when chromatin fibers are further coiled and become more condensed, then we can call it as chromosome. So chromosomes are made up of only DNA and histone proteins. Okay. Now see, the packaging of chromatin fibers at such a higher level requires an additional set of proteins. These are called non-histone chromosomal. Non-histone chromosomal, in short, NHC, this one, NHC proteins. I repeat the sentence. Packaging of chromatin fibers at higher level requires an additional set of proteins which are collectively known as non-histone chromosomal proteins. It is a set of protein, not a single protein. Chromosomal, non-histone chromosomal proteins, or in short it is known as NHC. Okay. Now we will discuss about the parts of chromatin. Parts of chromatin. See, all regions of chromatin do not stain uniformly. Some regions of chromatin are loosely packed. Some regions of chromatin are loosely packed and they take so some regions of chromatin are loosely packed and they take light stain. When we use specific dye, they take light stain, and these regions are loosely packed. Such region of chromatins are called euchromatin. And transcriptionally these are active chromatins. So what is transcription? So you know that the genetic information of protein synthesis is written in DNA, right? And for protein formation, first this information is copied to mRNA, then mRNA carries it to the ribosome for formation of protein, right? Now the process by which the messages of protein synthesis is copied to mRNA from DNA is called transcription. Or very simply you can say formation of RNA from DNA is transcription. So from this transcriptional point of view, euchromatin is a active chromatin. Okay. Conversely, some other regions of chromatin are densely packed. They are densely packed regions of chromatin and they take dark stain. They are densely packed and they take dark stain. Okay. So such region of chromatin are called, these are called heterochromatin. And heterochromatins are transcriptionally less active or inactive chromatin. Okay. So if we want to distinguish between these two parts of chromatin, then what will be the points? First one is euchromatin are loosely packed region of chromatin. Heterochromatins are densely packed region of chromatin. They take light stain. Heterochromatin take dark stain. Transcriptionally, euchromatins are active chromatins. Transcriptionally, it is inactive or less active. And fourth one, you know about crossing over. when you studied cell division in your 11th standard, then you found about crossing over. It means exchange of chromosomal segments between non-sister chromatids, right? And the frequency of crossing over is high in euchromatin as they are loosely packed. Since this region of chromatin is loosely packed, the frequency of crossing over is high. Whereas heterochromatin, they are densely packed region of chromatin. That's why the frequency of crossing over is low in heterochromatin region. So these are the 4 pairs of differences between euchromatin and heterochromatin. From packaging of DNA, a long question usually comes. Describe the packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cell, or write a note about the packaging of DNA in eukaryotic cell. Okay. So today I would like to stop here. Thank you.